Greetings traders, this is Houston Trong from thetradingedge.org, and here is your weekly market outlook for September 21st to 25th, 2020. I hope you're having a good weekend. Hope you had a good trading week. This past week's trading, well, the price action this past week was punctuated by the unwinding of that massive gamma squeeze we had going into the month of September. So the markets, going into September had been rocketing. It had been on rocket fuel, so to speak, and we had 5 consecutive up months in the SPY and 6 consecutive up months in the Qs. News came out that the SoftBank had been the one behind that big gamma squeeze, and for the past couple of weeks we've had that big unwind now of all those positions. So from my understanding from a number of articles I see online is that the SoftBank is now mostly out of that trade, or predominantly out of that trade, if not all out of the trade, but some of those broker dealers are still left with a bit of inventory, and that means they're still having to do some cleanup around that. This past week again we also had quad witching to wrap up the week, so we had some volatility around the quad witching effect. So that was what certainly left us with some volatility the last 2 days of the trading week, Thursday and Friday especially. But right now it's a real mixed bag. It's if you look at just the recent price action, then it certainly looks as though the markets are weak. But as we'll do this in this week's video, we'll spend some time looking behind the scenes, behind the curtains. We'll take a look. We'll do a kind of a sector watch this week. Maybe skip some of our usual assets unless I see something notable. But we'll do a bit of a sector watch because it's a real mixed bag out there. I said already, tech has been a bit weak, especially in those names that were held by some of those high beta tech names that were being held by some retail option traders and SoftBank guys. But a lot of other sectors, a lot of other stocks are doing maybe multi-week highs, multi-month highs, multi-year highs, maybe all-time highs. So certainly not conclusively to the downside at this time. So we have to, it's one of those periods of the year where it pays to be a bit agile, right? So it's not one of those clear, blue sky pictures now. There's definitely some, some mixed headwinds going into this coming week. So let's talk about the week now, and then we'll go through our regular review process to help you for your coming week. I'll be looking this week at the econ calendar, and what's on the calendar this week is the fact that Jerome Powell speaking three times this week, so that's potentially market moving. Don't expect a lot out of it, but you never know. If he says something off the cuff and the market's not expecting it, then that could certainly move things around. Now we also have existing home sales number on Tuesday 10 and new home sales number on Thursday at 10. So those will be interesting to watch. Then on Thursday as well, we got the jobs claims number. That's another one to keep on your calendar because there's been a lot of volatility and continues to be a lot of volatility going into that number every single week. On the earnings calendar, not that much. A few notable names. I'll just go through them now. Tuesday, I'm looking at Nike, SFix, and KB Homes on Tuesday. Wednesday, a little slower. So JKS, so that's Jinko Solar. That's a tech name, or NASDAQ name we want to watch. And on Thursday, we'll be looking at BlackBerry and Costco. Those are the ones that I'll be looking at actively on Thursday. Kind of a slow trading or earnings week, but should be an interesting trading week. So let's get into the charts now, and we'll talk about the week that was and what I'll be looking at going forward here. As we always do this time, let's go to the VIX. We'll go to SPY, and then we'll fast forward through the other indices and spend some more time on some of the underlying names. So let's talk about VIX very quickly. We'll do a quick price action discussion here on the VIX, what's going on here, and then we'll get into the rest of the stuff. So VIX, big picture. I'll just do it one time with the VIX and the SPY because it's basically the same for the rest of them. It's outside, inside, and down on the VIX. Okay, so we talked about the last two videos already. The pullback that happened on this downtrend, when it popped up this past month, that allowed the price of the VIX to basically retest the quarterly open. They defended that, so it kept the quarter red on the VIX, and that red line there was the prior breakout level. So had you simply reshorted and been the second mouse to get the cheese to resell that level, that breakout level, you're sitting pretty on the short still. So far, VIX not indicating a big turnaround yet. Again, the best time of the month for buyers or sellers to take control, in this case here, it's the buyers, because right now the sellers are in full control, is at the beginning of the month. Okay, that's the time where they have the highest chance and likelihood to turn things around. Right now, with only, let's see, 11 days left in the month, it's tough for the VIX, although it did break to the upside. They're going to have to come through all this and still turn this quarter green. Still tough work there. Not saying possible, but you do have this going against you. This formation here has been playing itself out for a while. This is what's allowed us to keep on the right side of price on the VIX is this. We know this pattern, outside and up. That's momo up, and then last week, not this week, but last week, when it broke below that low, it turned into a momo down reversal, right? So anyone who got momo up on that, bought that, they got stopped out coming back to the range again. And this past week, we're expecting to take out that low right there, 23.64. Got as low as 23.67. So it came very close. The buyers of the VIX basically bought it up on Friday. Or bought it back on Friday, not bought it up, but bought it back right before it took out that low that looked like it was going to take it out, but they defended and they weren't able to take it out on Friday. Still expect them to take it out though. If it doesn't happen, you want to know that. So here, a quick price action lesson here. So if I draw this in, let's talk the daily chart here. If you look at that, there's a lot of stuff there, but I want to just get you to focus on the orange lines. So that's a broad information, right? We know that patterns are playing out because we've been seeing this here on the weekly chart, right? We know that this is an outside bar, this is a higher high, right? And so that allows us to draw something like this, right? So that's the higher high, that's the lower high, that's a low, and we anchor to a higher low. Okay, so our higher low here, I can redraw this guy. Yeah, there we go. We draw anchor into there, and you can see that basically now we're coming back through the range again, expecting this low to come out and take out this 23.64 area to create a lower low. So this, as you can see, is a bigger broadening formation or megaphone pattern. These types of patterns is what's very, this is what makes trading tricky, because you can get you can understand, if your mindset is only that price moves in, let's say, linear manners, in linear way, you don't understand how price can make both lower lows while at the same time making higher highs. And because what's actually happening here is just creating this, non-linear sequence. It's basically a broadening formation or megaphone. So we expect now that this thing will come out the other side. Now, if you can see this bigger price pattern, right, that one there, you need to be able to see the same thing on a smaller scale. This here, this sequence, this past week, is the same thing as that. Okay, now this is why I've been saying in the last couple of videos the importance of being able to see the market structure and not rely too heavily on just candles or maybe just outside bars, inside bars. The outside bars, inside bars, if you recognize what they are, they're basically, we're using them, especially with time frames, and we're using 1-day charts and 2-day charts and quarterly charts and weekly charts and monthly charts. We're using time as a constraint on price. And as I said in the last couple videos, that's artificial, right? So time is an artificial constraint that we put on price because, frankly, some traders don't even use time price bars, right? So when I say a time price bar, that means they don't use daily bars, they don't use, hourly bars, they don't use monthly bars. They might use something like a tick chart, right? Or maybe they might use a volume chart. So those have nothing to do with time whatsoever. So there's no. So it goes to show you that you don't have to use time to constrain price. There's many ways that you can visualize price, because that's all these things are, is a visualization of price. What's more important is to understand the market structure. That is the ascent and descent of things on which they happen. So the angle of things. So that and where in effect things are taking place in relation to that structure, right? So if you're seeing consolidation at the top end here, or at the bottom end here of structure, and you see the angle of it, then then you begin to make better trade assessments. So that preface being said now, this past 5 days is basically an outside bar. So anytime you see an outside bar here, again, the outside bars are basically just concessions in that we're using time to filter price, but you can use any time frame you want. It could be an 8-hour chart, it could be a 6-hour chart, it could be some sort of custom chart, and I'll show you some of those later on just to give you some more examples. But it's important to get in your head, because once you can see the price structure without relying too heavily on the bars, then you have a better understanding of price. So then you don't have to lean on these candle bars as much as seeing the structure itself. Okay, so the structure here, once you see that this is a broadening formation on a higher time frame, this is the same broadening formation, not on a lower time frame, it is on a lower time frame, but on a smaller scale, right? So this here, a higher high and a lower high. That's a lower low and a higher low. So as this was playing out during the week, we can actually see it playing out as so, and this is how it played out. So here I want to draw it like that because that's how it was playing out during the week. Momo down, reversal back to the upside. That bar takes out that bar. That's a higher high. Now, as soon as this thing happens and it starts coming back to the range again, it's possible it goes right back through it again and comes to the other side, creating the broadening formation. That's right. So that's what we got now for the week. So that, if I show you on a lower time frame, what's that going to look like? So here on the 4-hour chart, there it is, right? So that high there, anchored to that high, that's a lower high, and this low here, anchored to this higher low there. And you can see when you have a number of outside bars, those in themselves are broadening formations, and so it's creating a fairly interesting looking broadening formation. The good thing about these is they tend to expand, right? So once you can see that if it continues to move along this trajectory, the price will expand and it'll have larger and larger waves, which makes it even more and more opportune for trading. So that's the what's happened this past week here now. Now we're looking at is this 2-day chart. We got the momo down now on the 2-day chart. Right, so I want to delete this line. I don't need to show it anymore. I just wanted to give you a quick price action lesson there. And now you got the momo down sequence on the 2-day. So how far does this momo down sequence go? The bias is still to the downside because even though you have a green day on Friday, you have a green 2-day bar here, it's still momo down with full time frame alignment. You're below the weekly open, monthly open, and quarterly is up here. So until you can break above some of these higher time frames opens, I have no desire personally to be a long VIX for any long period of time. Okay, so VIX now we're looking for to take out that low there. So there's your VIX chart. So you got that understanding of price now, the price structure on the VIX. Guess what? You got a very similar looking thing on the SPY. So really quick high time frame perspective here. Outside bar, inside bar, and up. Right, basically mirror opposite. Price did come back down and did retest that red levels. That's the breakout, the prior breakout. So on the monthly chart now, we do have a red month on the SPY. So it's getting very close now to taking out the prior month's low, and that would cause it to go outside bar. So going into October, we may get an outside bar here in September, which in itself doesn't portend to disaster, because we know in the past when you have outside bars, a number of things can happen, right? Now certainly back in February we got that big outside bar and it went ripping to the downside. If you go outside bar and down, that's significant. But if you go outside bar and they break to the downside and immediately buy it back, we had back here in June in 2019, and it turned out outside bar the outside, yeah, and then you have a bigger broadening formation that happens, and we saw what happened there. So let's keep our eyes open on the big picture here to see how the month closes. On the weekly chart, we do have a outside bar. So this was what we were watching for. It was momo down on the SPY coming into the week, and we were asking how far does this thing go? Well, it did pop up at some point during the week, but they did close it weak, or close it soft going into the end of the week. So we do have an outside bar that took out both sides of the prior week's range. That means people got stopped out on both sides of that. Some people bought that as a breakout, some people sold that as a breakdown, and we kind of end up near the lower tier of the range. So as we know with the outside bars, it doesn't mean you want to short right away. What it basically means, if you're not short already, then you really want to see how this next bar breaks. Okay, so that's what you want to be watching for. If you're flat right now, or you're looking to see the direction of it, you want to see how this thing breaks. Does it go momo down once again by breaking below and staying below, or do we get some sort of pop back on the range again? And we need to see how that plays out. Okay, but we got that outside bar, and the outside bars, as I said before, it means it's time to pay attention, because people got stopped out on both ends of that range. So basically the game gets reset, right? It's a resetting of the board. I'm going to remove this line here because we have two purple lines. I don't need two purple lines. The game got reset, and now we want to see where the pieces fall back on the board. People put their pieces back on the board because the bets have to come back in again. All right, so for SPY, what's notable for me this coming week is this following. Let's see if I can get that to go there. So now that you've seen the price action on the VIX, you can basically see the same thing, right? So last time I draw this, right? This higher bar, this higher high is higher than that lower high, and then this lower low, correct? There, nearly to the T, right? So that low there, just by drawing to that, anchoring there, nearly catches the low of the week. Okay, so that is what's playing out intra week, and that's what your understanding of price is, that as you see these things happening, right? When you get our higher high here, most people are thinking breakout, right? They're thinking, yay, breakout. But as soon as it comes back in the range again, you need to see that there's the possibility that this can happen. You anchor there, and you're like, okay, well, this can run right through here again, because you have this in place. You have the outside bar, right? You can see the broad information taking place ahead of time, and especially when this thing breaks below the weekly open, then this becomes quite apparent. So there's your broad information on the daily chart. So what I'm looking for this coming week is as follows. We're now below the 50-period moving average, so something to watch out for, because we haven't had a close below there for quite some time. I think I talked about last week. We haven't had a close below the 50. I think it's way back here, right there, back in May. Okay, so that happened, but then they bought right back again. So let's see if they do or not on Monday. You do have that 2-day momo down scenario, inside, outside, and down. So how far does this thing take us, right? If you break below this low here, the 2-day low, this one here, that triggers the momo down in the week. So that's significant. So you definitely want to be watching that. The 4-hour chart's already showing you a momo down move, right? This is a momo down move. Momo down, consolidation, down, down. We have not had a higher high now for a number of sessions on the SPY. Okay, so watch out SPY. Those are very, very clear levels. Can't spell any clearer than that in terms of the near-term direction. Momentum. Okay, Qs, same picture. Qs are a little bit different though. They did get the outside month, so it's the tech stocks have been getting hammered. So some of them did enter into like bear market territory. Some have had higher than 20% corrections, or larger than 20% corrections. So they get hit. And the Qs is continuing to go momo down. So out of all the indices, it's funny to say, the Qs is the weakest of all the indices. So this thing here never broke above the prior week's high. So it's a continuation of the momo down move. So right now the Qs not bottomed yet. We have on the daily chart now, just like the SPY, 2 closes below the 50-day. It closed below the 50 on Thursday and on Friday. We have to go back, I think, a ways. And we haven't had that kind of move since the initial slide down way back in February. See in the February here, we had a close right there, 2 closes below, and then we kind of had that ripping downside. So this is the Q, something to watch. Like that one there is, certainly a little bit of red flag here now. Q is certainly trading, especially if we break below there. Like right now you're trading below the monthly open, weekly open. So it's a red month, red week. The only thing staying green right now is that quarter. So right now you definitely need to watch out. The month though is the outside bar. Right, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months of higher highs. We had a 6 month of higher highs, but then all of a sudden you made a lower low. So here now we've stopped that big trend that was going to the upside. On the monthly, the quarterly chart, it's still momo up. So we need to see how this quarter ends. You still have 11 days in the quarter, so not a lot left, right? This what makes it interesting. Going into October, if you break below that low, right? That is now a momo up reversal short. So that's what we need to watch for going October. Let's see where things close out on the Qs to end the month. No matter what, the month is going to be an outside bar. So what happens in October is if you go momo down, that's going to trigger the quarterly chart, and then things can get really hairy. So that's something you need to watch out for. And we'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. So there you go for the Qs. 4-hour chart already saying momo down. Okay, so momo down the Qs, outside bar down. If you can break above there, that's going to alleviate some of that, but still you got to reclaim some of this stuff. Right now it's not looking pretty for the Qs. Let's go down now. We'll go a little faster. Only the notable things here. The Dow, it's basically, oh yeah, I'll do the same here. Weekly chart, outside bar, so we'll draw that range. Do we go momo down on the Dow once again? Because we get that outside bar. How far does it take us, right? Because on the Dow, we also have on the 2-day chart here, momo down already. Okay, so is it a continuation of the momo down move? If it does so, that's going to trigger the momo down move on the weekly. So very, exactly the same setup on the Dow as we see with the Qs. So there is your Dow chart. Let's go now to Russell. Again, Dow stronger than the Q so far, because look, the month is red, but it hasn't reversed the prior month's low yet, so nowhere close to going outside bar. All right, so that's something to watch for. 3-month charts, double check that guy. right now, look, you retested right there. You're right at the prior breakout level. So went outside bar, inside bar, and up. You retested the red line. The red line is the breakout high is 276.38. Guess where we're at now? Right there. Look at that red line. 276.38. Close at 276.52. Okay, so that's right there now. The buyers are trying to defend that level. Look at that red line. They keep defending it. They come back down now. You are below that 50-day once again, but they're definitely defending that level. Get that quarterly. Look at that monthly level. Tested it this past week. So it had that momo down reversal on the weekly chart. Tested it. Failed on the monthly open. So the sellers defended that level, keeping the month red. So now it's a little bit choppy here, creating that outside bar scenario we talked about earlier. Okay, so that low here is probably lower than 77, 274.77. Yep, 274.96. So that low is lower than that low there, creating the outside bar on that sequence as well. Okay, so there's Dow. Now Russell, funny enough, weird thing to say, is the strongest of all the indices, which doesn't give me a lot of confidence because in the past the Russell has not been one to be a leader. So outside, inside, and up. Again, retested the breakout level on the quarterly chart. That area there is right there, 153.39. 153.39. Trading at 153.29. That's how we're right back there again. So literally right back there, and it's still. This past week they did a momo down reversal, but that monthly open, look at right there, it held that orange line, held as resistance, could not break above that. So currently, trying to consolidate there. It is above the 50 days. That's the one so weird about the Russells. Like that's the one index that's actually holding above the 50. So for whatever reason right now, the buyers are more confident in the Russell. Again, it could just be a facade, it could be a trick, because the Russell again has never been one to be a good leader. So the Russell now, we're looking at this here. So look at this 2-day chart. They did go momo up here for a couple days, but didn't get the momo down reversal. So we come back to the range here again. If you break below this low here, and the week opens up here, and they fade it, come back out and take out that low there. That will trigger the prior week's bar. All right, so that will basically get below the prior week's low. So watch out for that. This coming week here, the low is right there. We draw our ranges, so you can see here now. That purple line, once you break below there, right? That's going to be reversal of the weekly bar. Then you'll be full time frame alignment to the downside. Okay, so definitely a lot of potential downside possible here for the indices. So that's definitely what I said in the beginning. It's time to be a little more agile, and you may have to put your get your hands on the steering wheel and make some adjustments if you're holding longer term stuff. So TSX, tight stuff here. So TSX is very tight. On 3-month chart. Okay, so there you go, outside, inside, and up. Has not come back, did retest that, but it's still going back up again. So, very tight stuff going on here at the on the broadening formation on this quarterly chart. The monthly chart in the TSX, you look like this. Okay, you had 4 higher highs, a month's 4 higher highs. This past month, you did break below the prior month's low, creating the reversal there. But you can see it tested that breakout level right to the T, right there, that red line. So the buyers defended that area. People took that opportunity to buy it again, and it popped back up again. So in effect, the buyers are defending the TSX here, and they're not letting it fall any further. But you are squeezed between two time frames. That monthly open is right there, the orange line, creating the red month. And you got the blue line right there, which is the quarterly open, creating the green quarter. So you got mixed time frames, which is why you get that really choppy, tight trading right now. So if you can see this, right, you can just see that's consolidation. Okay, now you may not see, well, you can say, well, I don't see that as an inside bar anywhere. Is that really consolidation? So number one, that's what I'm saying, is you want to be able to get used to being able to see consolidation without having to use a crutch like a candlestick, like using time to try to filter price. Because if I look at the monthly chart, I do not see an outside bar that looks like it took out the prior month's low. That doesn't look like an outside bar, does it? Well, if you just play around with time frames enough, and you understand what you're looking at, you can certainly find an inside range. Because it's pretty obvious that, let's say I look at a 4-week chart. Okay, so I'll do a 4-week chart. What's the difference between a 4-week chart on TradingView and a 1-month chart? Well, the 4-week charts takes the last 4 bars and aggregates them together. Whereas a monthly chart, is what it is. It takes the full month, just the month's data. So from the beginning of September to the current month to date. A 4-week chart will basically aggregate the last 4 bars. So look, if I take the last 4 bars and I create a 4-week chart, that's an inside bar. Okay, so you can see the past 4 weeks have been very, very tight because it's an inside sequence. So one of the big takeaways is training yourself to be able to see this without having to lean on as a crutch different time frames. Now in the beginning, you might have to use the different time frames to see and help you visualize that this is actually an inside sequence. But over time, once you see it enough, you can recognize without the need to look at custom time frames that this is just consolidation. Number one is you have a lot of overlap, and number two, you can just see by the flatness of the pattern itself that and the overlapping of price that you're likely in some sort of consolidation pattern. Okay, so there again, it's pretty clear at this point here. You look at a 4-week chart. This thing has not had any lower lows yet. So consolidating here this past 4 weeks, and let's see how this thing closes out. So there's your weekly chart on the TSX. Let's move on to emerging markets now. So emerging markets holding strong. Same thing as the TSX. This one here is doing the outside, inside, and up. Very, very strong still. Has held that breakout. The monthly chart here. So Asian stocks are not broken down yet. It's a red month, but it's an inside month right now for the emerging markets ETF. That means it's very, very tight, rangy stuff, right? So here, again, look how tight that range is. Can you say, do you think that's an inside bar? It is, right? We see it already here. That's an inside bar on the month of September. But guess what? If I do a 4-week bar once again, right? It's very obvious. It's very, very tight. It's an inside bar there on the 4-week chart. Okay. So I would practice that if you're not used to seeing things that way, just so you can recognize the market structure and not have to rely just on custom timeframes. Once you can see it yourself, then that's the wonder of and the power of the human mind and the brain is that it is a very, very good pattern recognition machine, and your intuition will drive you very, very quickly in terms of being able to spot and identify these things. Let's go bonds. Bonds is going anywhere? I'm gonna give you a guess. Monthly chart? No, not going anywhere. Outside bar, inside bar on the monthly chart. So it's actually doing a whole lot of nothing right now. Although you're getting some pretty wild swings. The ranges are very, very tight. So look at that. That's just chop. You can see if you see this, yikes, that is just chop, right? Guess what that is? Consolidation. That's right. So look at the weekly chart. It's multiple weeks of inside bar, so 2 inside bar weeks here. But what you need to see here is that all of this is happening. Most of this is happening inside of this prior bar's range. So it's consolidation. So once again, if I do, a custom, chart, you can see the last 4 weeks have been inside of that prior bars. All right. So same thing here. TLT. I'm looking for this thing to break. Well, I think ideally, I think it's going to take the month of September to consolidate, and then in October we're going to get a clear outside inside pattern, and we'll see how that one breaks. That'll be very, very clear. That would be the ideal scenario there. So right now, watching this thing coil and tighten, and let's see how that thing plays out. Still right now above. It's green on all the major time frames: week, month, and not the week, but the month and the quarterly. But it's trading in a range on the weekly chart. Gold. Let's go micro gold futures. You've heard me talk about it already. It is tight stuff. So look, monthly chart. So it's momo up on the month, right? So that's the thing with the gold. It's just taking a breather. It's momo up on the month, inside bar right now. So tight stuff. And the weekly chart, look at that. Can you see all this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. 5 weeks inside of that bar there. So guess what? Yes, that is also a consolidation pattern. It's consolidating inside the prior bar's range. That's why you see an inside bar on the monthly chart. Okay, so really, the other thing that's holding gold down now is that you got that monthly open It's been testing it over and over again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 taps of that over the past 2 weeks, and the sellers keep staying there and holding it down. So right now that 1975 area definitely acting as resistance here. I think good chance we close this month out as a inside month. Okay, setting up a potentially interesting October, potentially October fireworks as we get closer and closer to those U.S. elections. Let's go Bitcoin. So you know what I'm saying? So it's, if you listen to, if you pay attention to just the equities markets, it seems like you're getting a big sell-off. But in fact, a lot of other assets, they're just consolidating. We're not getting the big moves yet that are indicating indicating a outflow or inflow of capital. So BTC. All right, outside, inside, and up. So that pattern is still working itself out, trying to take out that pivot high there. I've been saying it's very hard for that to happen because we're actually consolidating inside the yearly chart. So the reason we do all this analysis is you really want to have a good understanding of our markets trending, or are they moving directionally, or are they consolidating? And obviously, I've said this in this week's video many times already, is that these inside bars and outside bars help you have that understanding. Again, these are just aids to seeing the larger market structure. So consolidating right now on that inside yearly chart. On the monthly chart, we do have it a month down. The buyers bought it back so far. Sort of look like a momentum hammer, because look, that red line, they defended it. What's that red line? Yes, it's the breakout level of the prior quarter. All right, so right now we're holding above it. That red line is 10,398. Tested, defended it. In the weekly chart here now, we have the momo down reversal. Going back up, issues got that monthly open right there. How are they going to navigate that? Can they blast through it, or are they going to hit that area or get around there and find some sellers there? That's something I would not be surprised to see at all, because if you buy here, right, if you're buying this month, what are you really thinking is going to happen? Okay, so that's because a lot of people don't look at the monthly chart. They just buy on some other time frame, and they don't realize what's happening on the higher time frame chart, and they just want Bitcoin. If they buy, let's say at 10,516, they want Bitcoin to go to 13,000, right? They want to get a 13,000. What do you think is going to happen on the monthly chart if you get the 13,000 print? That's going to turn into an outside bar, right? Because you have the high here of 12,490. 13,000 is up here, right there, okay? Do you think that this month is going to be an outside bar? Do you think that's what's going to happen? It's going to turn to an outside bar? That's basically what you're betting on, is if you're buying down here and you think you're going to get the 13,000 move this month, you're betting that this is going to turn to an outside bar. How many outside bars do you actually get inside of a year on Bitcoin? Look, we haven't had an outside bar now since February 2019, right? So just statistically, it's uncommon to get outside bars on the monthly chart. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but do you think that this month is somehow unique and that you're going to get an outside bar? You have to believe that, right? So if you think you're going to get 13,000 this week, this month, with 11 days left, then this bar needs to turn to an outside bar before the month ends. Okay, so that's what you're betting on. So just recognize that that's the bet you're making when you're placing these bets on these lower time frames and not seeing the higher time frames. Okay, so that is Bitcoin. Again, I am long Bitcoin, but I am long Bitcoin. Already took some profits. I took it on this signal right here, the double outside bar. I like the double outside bar, right? Double outside inside. And sorry, I'll go back inside. Double outside inside. Took that. Took some off already on the 2-hour move. Now added to this one here, the double inside bar. I added on that to get back in again, but I'm very wary of that level right there, that monthly open. So Bitcoin doing its thing there. Again, I'm not expecting it to go too much higher, especially the monthly open right there. 2-day chart though is did go inside bar up, so we had a momo down move here. That's why as I was betting that was going to be the low of the week last week when I got into it, because of the momo down reversal on the 2-day chart we talked about 2 weeks ago. But again, I'm not looking for this going to be a home run and get to 13,000 this coming week or this coming month. So, all right, so now let's wrap things up today by going through a number of assets now. We talked about in the beginning of the video about that unwinding of that gamma squeeze. So I'm going to spend a bit of time going through some the popular tech names. Let's go through the FAANG names, FAANG plus Microsoft, and then we'll go do a sector watch, and then we'll wrap up some things to watch for this coming week. So let's take a look at FAANG names. Start Facebook. Facebook, this one's iffy, right? So here Remember, we talked about the inside buy reversal on Facebook 2 weeks ago. Got short right there. Still short Facebook in the sequence here. Inside buy reversal, and we expect that pivot to get taken out now. Okay, so Facebook, Apple, dicey as well. Momo down on Apple, still going. Momo down, down. When does that Momo down get extinguished? If you can take out this prior week's high. Okay, so Apple's still on the downtrend. Amazon, same thing. You notice there's a similarity here. So here, another Momo down scenario here. Basically, people are getting out. It's Momo down, that people are getting squeezed to the downside. The longs are. Okay, now Netflix. Netflix also corrective action. Okay, so that's a strong move to the downside. If you don't see it on that time frame, you can just look at the 1 month chart. You can see the outside bar. So inside outside on Netflix. Go back to weekly chart again. That's what's going on there. Inside outside. You have the quarterly open right there. So will they defend that quarterly open? That's what you want to wait and see for Netflix, because that's going to be the level to watch this coming week, the next couple weeks. So you want to go back there. How close are we to the quarterly opens on the other guys? Yeah, we're still far off on Apple, Amazon. Apple's still very far away from that quarterly open. Facebook, I believe so as well. You still have some downside potential there. But definitely, yeah, I'd be very impressed if the sellers can take out that quarterly open. Google now, finally, also Momo down. So once again, this thing is going Momo down. We want to get extinguished until that low gets taken out. This month will probably end up red, unless somehow the buyers can defend and step up and close above that area there on the weekly chart, right? It's gonna likely end up as a red month. The red month looks like this: outside bar, boom, come back through the range. And one final one, Microsoft. Okay, and Microsoft also Momo down. So out of our, what is it, the 3-6 FANG plus Microsoft names, all 5 out of 6 of them are going Momo down on the weekly chart. So it just shows you, that these high beta tech names have been going through some corrective price action. In fact, look at Microsoft here. It did break below the quarterly open. So if you look at the monthly chart here now, boom, outside bar, quarterly bar. We had it going Momo up here. All right, so Momo up, going into this quarter. Now, when we end the quarter in 2 weeks, that will be interesting, right? Because we're going to draw our line right there. If price breaks below there in October and Q4, wow, we can come back through the range here. That'll be something quite interesting to watch. So watch out for Microsoft going into Q4. So let's now go through our sector watch and see how the sectors are performing individually. So let's get back to our weekly chart here. I'm going to jump to over here now. Let's go through our sectors. So let's blast through them here now. Let's take a look first at basic materials. So XLB, look, XLB hanging in there. This is not doing bad at all. This, in fact, basic materials and industrials held very, very strong this past week. Look at that monthly chart. Did it tick above that? Yeah, the high there, 64.17. It is higher. Again, I have not redrawn these lines yet, because I'll just show you how long these have historically been on here. I drew these things, this is way back in 2018. Okay, so I have not adjusted it even for the recent pullback when we had the the sell-off in Q1. So this thing held the downside, came back to the upside. It did crack the higher high, so technically did make a higher high here. If it fades here now, come back through the range again the other side. But right now, it's still holding very strong. There's no indication it's going to take out September's lows. Sorry, August's lows. That's there. Okay. Energy is in weak, right? So that's very, very true. Energy is weak out of all the sectors, still doing its thing to the downside. Okay, energy down in the month. Financials, respecting the broad information, right? So here I'm going to draw this one very quickly just to get a clear narrative here. So let's take this one here now and redraw it up there. We had redrawn that pivot there like that now. So that's what's going on. Red month, but not a reversal of August yet. Industrials holding strong. Industrials, look at that. It's going Momo down reversal, still trying to make its way back up to the prior all-time highs. So I'll get rid of that line. We don't need that one. So basic materials, industrials still looking strong. Tech, we know tech is weak, right? So there's tech. You got the outside bar on the monthly chart. I'll get rid of this one here now. Potentially come back through the range. Okay, so that's potential, but right now it's still up there. Staples, are they people hiding staples? Not really. This is kind of weak on the month, down 2.80%. And look, it hit the broad information. I'm not making this up. I drew this, months ago. I just adjusted it there, but that's been for a long time now, and just tapping that upper trend line now and acting as resistance. Utilities, people trying to hide in Utes? Not really. Utilities are basically consolidating. That's consolidation, right? You've done enough charts now. You can just eyeball that and see we're basically sitting inside this larger mother bar, that huge bar we had back in February, and we're consolidating inside that. Healthcare, traversing the broadening formation, upper end, now you got the outside bar. That's a little dangerous here now because this can come out the other side and take out that low there. Okay, and one last one, discretionary, still strong. Discretionary, people are still buying into that. Above the broadening formation, we may come back down here again and do a retest of that. But so far, the indication that would happen is if you get September's lows, once this month closes out, gets that taken out, then we come back into the range. Okay, so there's your overview of the sector watch there. Out of all the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. So, we had it, I think basic materials, industrials, and staples that, not staples, but I think it was healthcare that were still, it's fairly, I think it was healthcare, was it? Discretionary. Yeah, they had not done any reversals yet on their charts. Okay, so let's go to our final part of the video, and that's to look at some stocks I'll be looking at this coming week. So I got a handful of them, actually more than a handful. I got close to 10 of them that should be interesting to watch. Some of them are already set up, some of them are potential setups. So CMI, Cummins. So the Dow has been surprisingly strong. Like I said, Dow and the Russell are the strongest of the bunch right now. And Cummins here, you got the double outside bar. So if this thing keeps going up, we're gonna, this is a potential volatility here because that high hasn't been taken out yet. So there is a bit of danger here because when you have these double outside bars, you have to watch out because if we get some sort of spike and all of a sudden they fade it, it's going to come out through the other side, creating that broadening formation. That's what you need to watch out for. Is Cummins here potentially to take out the prior, weekly, monthly highs. It doesn't keep going, comes back in. Watch out for that as a fade. CrowdStrike, this one here, double inside weak. How's that break? You're in the Bollinger Band. It's a little iffy there. That's going right in the highs. Could be a good short setting up there. FSLY, that's also a double inside bar, is right in the middle of things. That's a lot of consolidation, right? So this is going to be a little tricky to get out of. It could be a head fake there, but right now, outside bar down on the monthly chart. Not expecting a lot from it's just not a great looking chart, to be honest with you. FSLY might need more time. FIVN. Let's turn off some of these here. So 5.9. So 5.9, momo, inside, outside, inside, and up. You got that monthly open right there, though it's potentially a level of resistance, but did trigger this past week. So watch that to see for continuation. Okay, you want to see if price can remain above the prior week's high. So that high there, 120.97. Watch for that. Let's go now with here. So Turtle Beach, outside, double inside. So that's interesting. That should pop. That's going to do something. That'll be interesting to watch. HEAR. Marvel Technologies, semiconductors. How's that play out? Double inside bar into highs. That can definitely go higher. That's very, very strong there if it breaks above this past week's high. Sale. Okay. Outside, inside. Double inside. I like to see that one. See how that one plays out. That'll be a good one to watch. Wix, same thing. Outside, double inside. Let's see how that one breaks. The ranges are getting tight. That'll be interesting to take it either way because if it breaks to the downside, that's full time from alignment at the downside. Okay, so that'll be good potential short there, especially since you already had a break to the downside on the monthly chart. Okay, so Wix potentially good short there if it plays out. And one last one here is actually a couple. One already triggered. So this one here this past week I got long myself. LMND, Lemonade. It went momo down, reversal to the upside. So I did get long on this on the weekly setup here. Thinking that the low might be in here now. So we'll see. This IPO has basically flopped as they always do. They pop up and then they sell them off. They broke below the pre-IPO open, the IPO open, and now the bargain hunters have come back in here looking for it to come back up again. So in this one here, I do not want to see this past week's low get taken out. This week's low though. This week's here. Okay, and then this one very similar pattern which I'm watching this week is XSPA, Expressa Group. So here. Momo down reversal, inside now, double inside. So we break above this past week's high. It's a very good chance we break above the monthly open again and come back up to take out that weekly pivot right there. Okay, so XSPA, potentially one to add to your watch list. All right, well, that takes us to the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making this week's video with a bit of combination of price action tutorials here, as well as a review of the different sectors and some of the tech names. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section on YouTube, or head over to the blog, thetradingedge.org, where you can leave comments there. If you like the videos, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to be notified when they drop, click subscribe on YouTube, or again, go to the blog, sign up for the newsletter. We get a letter each week where I share my trading perspectives as well as the video. And as always, I'm wishing you a good trading week. Stay healthy, stay strong, trade safe, and trade well. So look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks once again for spending the time. Really appreciate your time. All the best. Talk to you again next week.